Hello everyone, I'm Bhuvaneshri Addala and today I want to discuss about few of the most important concepts of JavaScript. And the first one is a closure. A closure in JavaScript is very important and we can simply call it as a function, and it allows a JavaScript function to remember the variables that are defined in parent scope even after the completion of the parent function. That means a closure is created when a function is defined inside of the another function. Uh, for better understanding, let us consider some example. Let us consider an example, and let me create a simple function called count, and let me initialize a variable counter, and let me set it to 0. And now let me define an inner function. So let us call it as inner. And in this function, I just want to increment my counter variable, as we can see, and I just also want to console the counter value. Yes, and that's it. Now let me just return the inner function. Yeah, this is the function. And now I think I can call this function directly. Let us check this. Node closure.js. I'm so sorry. Let me try this another way. Let me create something, a value like closure, like that. Const closure equal to count, and let me call my closure. I think this will work. Node closure dot yes. Yeah, the closure value is 1, and again if we call this, the value will be incremented once again, and now I think I'll get values 1 and 2 both. Yeah, it's working. This is about the closure. And the next concept that I want to discuss is a callback function. And generally, a callback function is very important and plays a crucial role coming to backend development. So when we are dealing with applications that are involved with using of Node.js, we can see a lot of callback functions in each part of the code. And generally, callback function is nothing but a function that is passed as an argument inside of the another function. Uh, let me explain this with a better example. And for example, let us consider a simple function morning. And this I just console the greeting console.log good morning. As we can see, this is a simple function. Now let me create a simple callback function. So function which can be agreed, and inside this I can pass a callback function like morning great. Okay, let me do this callback, and inside this I can call this callback function, and this is a simple callback function. Now I can call morning. Now I think I can see good morning text here. Node callback dot js. Yeah, this is a very simple callback function example. So the next topic is a promise. In generally, JavaScript is an asynchronous programming language, and promise is an object that represents the eventual completion of that particular asynchronous operation. So a promise object can be dissolved or rejected. So let me explain you a simple basic syntax of the promise with an example. Let us take a promise.js file, and in this, let us initialize a promise equal to new promise of, here I'm just passing a callback function with parameters resolve and reject. This can, as we discussed it about, this is a callback function, and let us declare some case like let done equal to true. So now if done, it will the promise will be resolved like success, and else I can say the promise will be rejected, like failed. This is a simple promise example. Let us run this. Like node promise.js. Yeah, this is a simple promise example. And the next very important topic that needed to be discussed, which we use a lot in backend development, is async and await. And coming to async and await, in JavaScript, generally we discussed about asynchronous programming. Asynchronous programming means each and every part of the code execute irrespective of the remaining parts of the code. But in some cases, we need synchronous programming. For example, let us consider a case where we are fetching data from the database and the next part of the code is displaying that particular data. So if we are doing all this operation asynchronously, like the data will be displayed even before fetching of the data from the database. Then in such cases, we may not have a proper data or complete data or either no data that needed to be displayed. To avoid these cases, sometimes we need to work with asynchronous code in more synchronous way and readable way. For that reason, we use this async and await keywords. So generally, uh, async keyword is used to define a function that will always return a promise. So even the function does not explicitly return a promise, it will be wrapped in the promise. And await is used inside of the async function, and it pauses the execution of the function until the promise is resolved or rejected. So let us consider an example for this async code. So let us discuss an example about async and await. Yes. And let me create a simple async function, which is very simple one because we can use this when we are dealing with the APIs, databases, or any other things in larger projects. But for a simple example purpose, I will give you a really very simple example like an async function. Like it's a greet function, and I'm just consoling dot log hello, consoling hello, and now I'm just using the await word when I'm getting some promise. Here I can write sentences like fetching data from a database or posting data into the database or handling with API, but simply I'm just creating a new promise for understanding purpose. New promise as we done before, and a promise will be resolved if within 2 seconds, something like that. For that, I'm using the function set timeout and zone comma 2000. Okay, after 2000, the next part of the code will be executed. Console.log hello again. So this is the simple asynchronous function and simple use case of async and await keywords. And now let us call the function node async.js. Yeah, hello. And after 2 seconds, hello again. This is what we do with async and await function. Here we can see how the code is waiting for a particular promise to resolve or reject. So in this case, the code is waiting for 2 seconds. That is what we have written here. But in other cases, in bigger cases, we can write any sentences near a while such that the entire part of the code will wait for our code to fetch data from the database or send data to the database after completion of these type of particular operations. So I think an avoid plays a very crucial role while developing real-time applications. So that's all about the JavaScript important concepts. And now I want to explain about the assignment that I have done. And the assignment is a to-do list. So generally, let me explain how this code works. So first I have created a main method to-do list which includes a lot of different methods and variables. And here all is an array which indicates and which is used to store the tasks, that means the to-do tasks. And the next method is add. This is used to add a particular task to the to-do list, and by just using a push method, which is a list method that is used to push an item to the list. And the next one is mark as complete. So whenever a task is completed, we just mark it as completed. For that I have created a function, and by setting the property completed to true, we can mark the task as completed. This is what I have done in this function. And later I have created an overdue function. In this overdue function, I just filtered and returned the task. I mean, this overdue function just filters and returns the tasks that have due date less than the today date. That means the due date has already completed, but still the task has not been done. In such cases, in such records will such task will be returned and filtered by this method. And next method is due today. This is similar to the overdue method, but here the task that needed to be done today. Here I just added equal to. That means the due date is equal to the today date. That means that the task needed to be done today. Such type of task will be returned. That means filtered and returned by this method. This is about the due today method. And another one is due later method. That means the tasks that still have time to do are considered as are returned by this method. So if the due date is still greater than the today date, that means still there are there are there is some time to do that particular task, then we can do that task later, and this type of task will be returned by this due later function. This is about the methods, and the next one is the display list method. In this I just this method is used to display the to-do list. That means this will convert a list of tasks into formatted strings. For example, it shows whether a task is completed or not. That means if task is completed, it will just show a square brackets with a cross inside of it. If it is not completed, it will show an empty square brackets. It is a ternary operator. We all know about it, and it will show us this format. Like if the task is completed, we just get the task status and the task title and the due date. This is what we get here. And the next one is this is the end of the to-do list function. At the end, I just returned all the methods. And next, I just created a to-dos object by just calling the to-do list function. So this to-dos object contains all the methods, variables, and properties of the to-do list function. Of the to-do list that we have defined above. And next, I just used this formatted date function. So generally, formatted date function is a function which it takes a parameter date d and it will convert into the string, and generally that means it will convert into a proper string format like year, month, and date. This is about the date function. Later I have created a date today variable and assigned the current date to it, new date to it, and today will be the formatted date. That means it will convert it into year, month, and day. And later, based on that, I just created yesterday and tomorrow variable and assigned values to it by just minusing one and adding one to the today date. And later, I just added a lot of tasks with different parameters, attributes, and values like For example, let us consider here. Here, title is submit assignment. This is a particular task, and the due date is yesterday and completed. Whether it is completed or not, I will assign it as true if it is completed, otherwise false. And in this case, I have added a lot of tasks to the to-do list. And next, I just used the function mark as complete 8. That means the eighth indexed value, the eighth indexed task will be marked as complete. That means the completed property of that particular task will be set to true. And again, I added few of the tasks, and here I have started printing my to-do list. So I just consoled my to-do list. It's just a heading, and I just consoled the overdue tasks. That means the tasks that haven't finished within the time. I have printed them by using this part of the code, and here I just accessed them by calling overdue. Here overdue function will return all the tasks that are not completed within the time. And in the same way, I just printed the due today task. That means that task that need to be done today, and later I have consoled the task that needed to be done after. That means the task that still have time to complete. And I just used this formatted items due later to just display the list, the function that I have already defined here, just formatting the to-do list into a particular string that have, this needed to be displayed in the output. For that reason, I just called it by assigning it to a variable. And this is about my assignment. And now just let's run this, and we can see how the output, how a formatted string will be outputted. It is node. Yeah, we can see here, this is the heading that we have printed, my to-do list, and these are the overdue items and due items, due today, and these are the due later items. That's all about this, and thank you for listening to me.